Those were some of the most bobbiest head movements I've ever seen from Hikaru Nakamura, and just, let's give him space to bob accordingly because he should after that performance. He just won that position. He's winning games against Magnus Carlsen that you'd never expect anyone should be able to do.
You saw this game, and you could put a silver dollar on the fact that Magnus is the one from whom we're used to seeing these endgame victories out of nowhere. It's a 3-on-3, Amon, and we already have seen this. We saw it in the game where Carlsen hung a knight. Here, he didn't hang a knight. He actually got outplayed. First, he gave up the b-pawn. He made a concession and thought that rook endgame was easy to save. And somehow, the path to a draw, as my coach used to say, when it gets narrower and narrower and narrower like that, eventually you're just not used to having to find a single forced move. Magnus is reeling right now, and he is down by 2 points.
He's reeling, and he's making decisions which I would say are uncharacteristic. Normally such a practical player. Why did he want a position where seemingly like he could only play to lose it, right? The material was even. Then he gave up a pawn to play a rook endgame where it's like your best result is a draw. So why go down that path? Only bad things can happen, and bad things did happen.
And they did, and Magnus needs to stem the bleeding. This is a huge game because this is the game before our halftime break of the 3-minute portion. Magnus deciding to go into the Berlin endgame in a very thematic pawn sacrifice, pushing e6, damaging black's pawns even further, and now he's going to get his knife and fork ready and try to win that e6 pawn back.
That's right. And, we're going to have that classic situation where white's trying to get a mobile pawn majority, 3 against 2, whereas black's pawn majority is not, I wouldn't use the word mobile because the pawns are doubled and you can't create a passed pawn easily.
125,000 of you across Twitch and YouTube watching as Hikaru Nakamura seizes the momentum and the 2-point lead for the first time in this match. What an incredible turnaround, although I like the way that Magnus is handling the endgame. When you're reeling like that, Amon, when you're struggling, it doesn't matter if you're Magnus or you're Joe Schmo, you want to do the same thing. You want to steer the subsequent games in the direction that you feel most comfortable. You want to go back to your roots, and for Magnus, that means getting into endgames in which he feels comfortable.
So gonna ask the obvious, but did he hang the c6 pawn? Did he realize it was hanging? Or is there what's going on here?
No, rook takes c6, and the rook evacuates via c4. Even if black plays bishop d6, it doesn't trap the rook.
Yeah, did they both miss a free pawn? It's almost like mutual blindness. They're seeing all the same things, and they're missing all the same things.
That's really weird. Like? It was literally up rook takes c6, simple as that. Now Hikaru puts his king on b7. I still think he's worse. I think he's struggling to get his pieces out, largely because of the h6 pawn I'm on, because you can't go bishop g7.
That's right, and there still is a 3v2 brewing, which is why black's not necessarily in a rush to take and trade, because I don't know, like what's the next procedure after that? Hard to develop. Magnus, he really, really needs this win. This is the kind of position we're used to seeing him convert. And he's gotten the dream Berlin setup. He has the 3-on-2 majority on the king side and more active pieces. Yep. No, this is, I would say, one of the most important games of the match. I mean, Hikaru pulling off a draw here is going to feel like a win.
Totally. And Carlsen trying to prevent that from happening, pushing h4, trying to introduce more attackable weaknesses on the king side.
Yeah, I don't think that's a mistake at all, really. Nope. It looks like a pretty good move to me. King h3 and knight h4. Of course, he wasn't going to blunder the g-pawn with knight takes h4 there.
Well, they blundered the c6 pawn. Never say never, man.
That's a good point.
Back in my day, you blundered pawn like that, Governor.
Well, you don't say.
Okay, gh rook g5. Hikaru trying to go after the g-pawn, but knight g6 might defend the pawn tactically. Knight g6, rook takes h5 check, king g4, and you've got 2 pieces hanging at the same time. Easy pickings for Magnus Carlsen, who's going to ferry his knight back to f4.
We just talked about blundering a pawn, and it's like,
there we go.
Oh, you mean like this?
Now, Amon, knight f4, it's so important to understand that rook takes c5 and bishop takes f4 is losing for black because the minor pieces are incapable of handling the h-pawn.
Yeah, but that is a really... It's like such a strange concept because you always in chess think 2 pieces for the rook. Of course, is better than 2 pieces, but the minor pieces are notoriously very, very poor at defending not only against pass pawns, but especially ones on the side of the board, A and H pawns, and that's exactly what white has.
I would also be tempted by the move f4, trying to give up the H pawn in order to shuttle the F pawn off the board quickly. But if you can play knight f4 and you get away with it, you absolutely should. Knight f4, rook f5, there's king g4. White's pieces are ideally positioned to support those minor pieces. But Magnus, that lack of confidence, is it going to bite him yet again? He's now down on the clock. He has to find knight f4. That is a really, really important move.
Yeah, and it should be said that f4 is like a very decent backup, and this is a complicated move to play. Knight f4 invites everything because you might think, oh, the king is coming, and if my h-pawn is not going as fast as I think it should, it's not something that you can be too confident in.
I'm on 15 seconds. He's played the bishop to f4. He puts a third piece on that square. And rook f5, sacking the bishop in order to go after white's queenside pawns. What an incredible decision. And rook g5, Hikaru is navigating these tactics with unbelievable precision.
Yeah, bishop takes h6. It was just rook takes f2, I believe. And pawns falling. And without any pawns left, you're not going to win.
Magnus has to be careful here. I know it sounds crazy, but I would be playing this for a win, given the time situation if I'm Hikaru.
He's bobbing his head. Rook takes f2.
Oh my gosh.
C4, it's just
Rook
barely
f3.
surviving.
Magnus is going to lose the b pawn, and he has another endgame to defend. I can't believe we're saying this, and he let his clock run too low. Oh my gosh.
Rook d3 is such a stable move. So rook f3, you have to. I mean, rook d3 now. Isn't that just a draw?
It was. Now he's gone rook b2, allowing knight e7. The knight going back where? Is it going back to d5? Bishop f8 has to be considered, but don't get yourself checkmated if you're Hikaru. Rook d7 check and knight c6 sets up a mate threat, and that's why he goes to f4 and back to a8. And bishop b8, whoa!
So that's why he does
sacks.
this. Which,
oh my gosh. He's playing for a win.
Yeah, this is very, very strange.
He's playing for a win. Magnus's knight is stuck, and black has connected passers him on.
Magnus is the one that needs to be careful, though.
Yeah, for sure.
King b7, and there's no knight d7.
Oh, no. Oh, no. Oh, no. Oh, no.
There's only one move in that position, and nobody could produce it.
No.
Absolutely insane. I can't believe it.
Magnus is like, how did this just happen? This was the most unbelievable endgame yet.
Have you ever seen a mic drop in chess? This was one of them. This was an actual mic drop moment. Hikaru has left Magnus at the board. He gets up emphatically, and I mean, he should be walking like